Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Lit Bashing, where the L stands for Legions, the I stands for Imperialis, and the Bashing stands for Kit Bashing. And welcome to a very weirdly lit episode, because the evenings are drawing in, it's getting darker and darker by the time I get home from work, and I have no idea how to film in the evening yet, so I'm working on that. In the meantime, enjoy this slightly autumnal, spooky look, I guess. Yeah, got something quite exciting to look at today. It's not completely blind. I have looked at this just to get a few initial thoughts, but it's also not scripted. So it should be hopefully a good mix of interesting thoughts that I've had a bit more time than usual to think about, whilst also being laid back enough that we can have a bit of a back and forth, come to whatever comes to my head, and you can add whatever comes to your head in the comments below. So today we're looking at the bonded Cybernetica support formations, which are, I don't know whether this was always planned and maybe they just came up with it after the book came out and they thought, oh, we should have included this in the book, but we didn't. Or if maybe the Mechanicum didn't sell as well as they were expecting, and so they put this so people were able to ally them in a bit more easily, so to get the kit selling. But I don't know, that doesn't seem right, because obviously my frame of reference is going to be a little bit skewed because I'm basically all in on Legions at the moment. So everyone I kind of speak to about it is also all in on Legions. Maybe the hobby sphere as a whole is very much not in on it. And maybe they were expecting the Mechanicum kit to sell better than it did. And in order to give that a little bit of a boost, they're opening this up for the other armies, which are already mostly built by now, I imagine, to use some of the new models. If I'm being cynical and skeptical, more likely, I imagine, they just wanted to give people a better opportunity to use these. I'm obviously a little bit cynical and a little bit skeptical of Games Workshop's business practices, and I can't imagine the ultimate reason isn't to get more people to buy it, but I'm not so pessimistic that I think not enough people bought it. I think they just want to give as many possible ways and reasons for people to buy and use these teeny tiny little robots. So the thing that's excited about them isn't just that you can add Cybernetica support formations to any army, including armies that are already Cybernetica, which we'll get to in a minute about why you might want to do that. I'm not convinced myself, but it is an option. But also because going along the same lines as the army books for the old world, this document actively encourages kit bashing and gives you ideas, limited ideas, but ideas on how to kit bash. And I will be doing the exact suggestions that this says to see, like giving my advice for whatever that's worth, as to whether I think it's a good advice, a bad advice, boring advice, whatever. So we're going to look through each of the different support formations. We're going to look at what they might bring to the army, whether it would be worth doing, how fluffy they are, and looking at that all-important kit bashing bit as well. So I will just, so you can hear a bit more of my dulcet tones, I'll read big chunks. I can also share it next to me. This is fully open source, available on Games Workshop's websites. I don't feel any copyright challenge sharing it, so let's see what we've got. A whole bunch of fluff. I'm not going to read that in a silly voice today, but I am going to go for the rules, not in a silly voice. This document includes a number of additional formations for existing army lists previously published for Legions Imperialis. All of them are themed around the automata of the Mechanicum Tagmata, representing either unique fighting units under the aegis of Mechanicum or automata cohorts bound to other military arms of the Imperium, such as Titan Legions and Legions Astartes. Each formation also includes suggestions on how you might model and or paint detachments to represent the non-standard nature of the described formations. Exciting already. How to use them. Each formation included within this document is a new type of formation referred to as a support formation. My biggest pet peeve with this game at the moment is, why are they calling everything support? There are other words, get a thesaurus. This is a support formation. You've also got support detachments, which are a specific detachment type, along with HQ and core and all the rest. And You've also got Legion support, and Legion support is a specific kind of formation for Titans and Knights to be included in your army if you're not a Titan or Knight army. But also, you don't have to be a Legion to use a Legion support. You can be an Auxilia cohort or a Mechanicum Tagmata and still take Legion support. They need to get a new word, okay? Not everything can be support. So, Games Workshop, on the slim chance you're watching this, buy a thesaurus or just right-click synonym. Find a different thing to call these. For the time being, they are support formations, as opposed to support formations and support attachments within other formations. Clear? Good. So, for each non-support formation, such as support formation, chosen from a core list, an army can include one support formation from the same army list. For example, if a Legiones Astartes army has two formations, for example, a Legion Demi Company and a Legion Armor Company, it can include two Brethren of Iron support formations within the army. Support formations cannot be taken as allied formations. Each support formation will have a section above the detachments it can include, formatted as Support Formation, Army List Name, to indicate which army list a support formation is for. For example, a small formation for the Solar Auxilia army list will have Support Formation Solar Auxilia noted above the detachments it can include. Support formations will often include, often is a stretch, I've read it once. Twice technically, because there's the Knights and Titans. But yeah, support formations will sometimes include the option to choose detachments from other army lists. Unless otherwise stated, these do not count as allies, and so do not count towards the allied contingent's points limit. So basically, support formations are going to be a way in the future that you can not use up your ally limit to include a more varied force, which is only a good thing. I'm in favour of these as a thing. Legions Imperialis is very much a different coloured Skittles type game, and it should be. You know, the Horus Heresy isn't just whole blobs of one colour versus a whole blob of another colour. It is mixed. It is colours versus the same colours, supported by different colours, with infantry from different planets and different Forge Worlds all joining in together. So this is very fluffy. This isn't 40k. This isn't you will pick one force and your whole army will be from that. No, this is an entire group of traitors or an entire group of loyalists. So yeah, they sound like a good idea, fluff-wise. Balancing them gameplay-wise might be a challenge, but also Horus Heresy isn't necessarily the most balanced of games. It's far more a narrative thing, telling a story. So I'm not fussed if they're not the most balanced thing in the world. So let's go through them. The first one, interestingly, is for the Mechanicum itself. Now, the fun thing about this Mechanicum list, the Itinerant Cybernetica cohort, is that every unit you can take in this, you can already take in the army. So the only reason to take this is because you really like the rule, or you want a whole lot more Vanguard. Like you can have 5 Vanguard in this, which you might want to if you really, really like the fast, jumpy robots or the Voltarax. So what makes it special, and why is it better doing this than just taking one of the Mechanicum formations and filling it with Vanguard? It's got Order Cascade. Now, if you've read the Mechanicum book and you know how the kind of Cybernetica Cortex and Cortex controller rules work, basically all robots have a programmed thing that they do. So, for example, the Thanatar, the big massive one, can first fire or it can advance. So those are the things it can do. If left to its own devices, it's essentially a sentry gun. So if it's on its own, it will shoot and move so it can shoot someone. But if it's got a Cortex controller nearby, so a Tech Priest or an Archmagos, then they can override its power, override its programming, and tell it to do something else, like charge, march, whatever. So that's how it works. And that's why lots of the Mechanicum units are cheaper than they probably would be in other army lists, because you're a bit more limited in terms of the tactics you can use with them. Generally speaking, it seems worth the sacrifice. They do seem quite powerful on paper. Haven't got a chance to use them yet, but I will. So, because generally speaking, the rules they've got are the rules you're going to want them to use anyway. It's like, oh no, my Vorax can only charge. What a shame. Oh, well, they want to charge 99% of the time anyway. Good. So yeah, I think it's a good rule. The thing Order Cascade does, as this the formation's special rule, no longer does Cortex Controller work like that. All of these units are completely immune to Cortex Controller. They are not able to have their base Cybernetica Cortex changed by a controller. You might be thinking, then why on earth would I take this? Just this gives me less flexibility. But you've got Order Cascade. And what that means is whenever a detachment in this formation is activated, you as the controlling player may choose another detachment from this formation that has revealed this order, which is all of them, because by the time you activate them, all the orders are revealed anyway. The activated detachment may discard its order token and replace it with a new order token chosen from those in the rules of the chosen friendly detachment. So basically, you can borrow the rule of someone else. So if you can only have support or vanguard in this, so basically it'll mean the ones that aren't usually charging can charge if they're near something else that can charge. So a Vorax can shout to a Domitar, which usually can't charge, but if a Vorax and a Domitar are next to each other and you activate the Domitar, it can go, oh, you're charging, cool, then I'll do that too, and you can charge with it. Is this niche? Yes. Will this ever win you a game? Yes, once in your entire time playing. This weird rule may win you a game because you don't have to have any of your HQ out in the field. You can just have a whole bunch of Vorax and Domitars, and all the Domitars get to charge with their ridiculous save and close combat, and they get to charge because their friends next to them know how to charge and they're borrowing their order for that turn. So, do I think it's worth it? No. Do I think it's very, very funny? Yes. Do I recommend you using it? Yes, at least once. If nothing else, you get to put out a whole bunch of Voltarex and stick them next to a single Vorax and charge them all just for fun. So yeah, it's fluffy. The kind of fluff reason for it says is that during the Horus Heresy, the Cybernetica cohorts realized that they couldn't always have their commands on the ground, and they needed to come up with new ways to have their unmonitored Cybernetica units have more flexibility, and this is what they came up with. And in return, this means that a bit like Wall-E, they kind of leave them on a planet and they know that they'll do the right thing because they all kind of learn from each other, all very AI, machine spirity precursor there too. So yeah, it's and it says in reaction to this, they're all very good at fighting off viruses and attempts at hacking. So good, fluff-wise fun. And it says, for representing the support formation, use a variety of colour schemes that don't have to be linked to the Forge World. So basically an excuse just to paint a formation of your army a different colour from usual. Always good to have that as an excuse. And also you can have them all battle damaged. Again, like Wall-E, you could have a whole, like your main formation would all be pristine, whatever colour their Mechanic and Forge World is, and then alongside you'll have this ragtag bunch of Toy Story misfits coming out of Sid's house. That's 2 Pixar references in one formation. It's because my 5-year-old wanted us to watch Cars yesterday, so we did, even though it's the worst one. Yeah, but still, worst Pixar film is like saying worst chocolate, still chocolate. So, the next one, Brethren of Iron. This is the one statistically most of you will be using, because statistically most of you play Astartes, and this is one the Astartes can take. Brethren of Iron. As the relentless wars of the Horus Heresy ground on, few of the legions were spared from suffering losses on an apocalyptic scale. most found means of bolstering their ranks, some conventional, some arcane and proscribed. So yeah, this is explaining how you can get Cybernetica manacles directly into your units. And the fun thing about this one is it means you can have, for example, the Iron Warrior's own Domitar automata, as I once did a lit bash of in the early days of this channel, which nowadays there are a lot easier bits to kit bash it with. For example, the Domitar, which has just been released. So yeah, this is how you can represent the Cybernetica units that are part typically of certain niche Space Marine legions, or just get a bunch of robots in to support your Tech Marines, which we'll get to in a minute. So you can get pretty much anything in this, including core units and an HQ unit, but they're not from the Mechanicum list, which we'll get to in a minute. So Forge Lord. The HQ detachment in this support formation must be filled by HQ detachments chosen from the Legiones Astartes army list. So that means your HQ is going to be a command squad or a command tank, now that there are options. Which one you choose is kind of up to you. Support, Vanguard and Bastion detachments have to be detachments with the Cybernetica Cortex. So again, everything that's not a core has to be robots. Like you can't bring the other ones in, or even Astartes units. These have to be the robots, and you have to use robots in all the non-core, non-HQ slots. The core detachment slots, and this is the slightly more interesting one, may be Astartes, so tactical squads, or Thalax, so non-robots. I think they are still robots, but they don't have the robot rules. So you can have robots directly into your Legion's army list. HQ and core detachments chosen from the Legiones Astartes army lists gain the Cortex Controller special rule. This means that if you choose a tactical squad, that tactical squad now has that Tech Marini brain that can control the other robots, which is good because it means rather than just having one little tech mage, now an entire stretched out squad of core can be a controller, which in terms of expanding your Cortex controller range is probably the best way to do it. Detachments from the Mechanicum Tagamata army list in this support formation do not gain the Legiones Astartes special rule selected for this support formation, but instead gain the line special rule whilst that detachment is within 8 inches of a Legiones Astartes detachment from the same support formation. So that means you can give this list a Astartes Legion, and the Astartes units, by the sounds of it, by the fact it's specified the Mechanicum units don't, it sounds like the Astartes units do still get the special rule of the unit, which means for those ones that need just one formation of that Legion to get the rule, like the Death Guard if you want your dangerous terrain option, or the Emperor's Children if you just want that one free siege initiative each game, you could do that and still get that happening. But for example, World Eaters, you wouldn't be able to get the robots to re-roll a dice in close combat because they're not World Eaters, but the World Eaters would still. But the fun thing is that all robots get, in fact, all detachments from the Magnanimum Termata, so if you took Thalax as well, they would work, they all become a line. So their staying power, if they stay near their Astartes friends, they would just keep, they will just keep any objective they're on until they're destroyed, which is spectacular. So if you're playing an objective game, this is what you want to do. Obviously, still at risk of blasts and explosions and just pure destruction, but fighting infantry with infantry, this makes your infantry line and can make robots line as well. So that's fun. It's also very fluffy because you can take your core of, say, a little mini Death Guard formation and then put in a bunch of Voltarax and make them like Blight drones, or fetid Blight drones or greater Blight drones, the various plague drones that there are out there. So yeah, there are plenty of fluffy options, or as said, make them Iron Warriors and have the support be Domitars with the Hazard Stripes. Lots of good fluffy options. Look through your own legions. Fluffy Cybernetica units, they almost all have something. So yeah. And here's the fun thing. Designer's note, representing this support formation. Detachments taken from the Mechanicum Taumatis can be painted in the appropriate legion's colours, as established, Hazard Stripes for Iron Warriors, etc. Space Marine Sergeant or Rapier crew models can be used to represent Legion Privians, perhaps replacing a Praetor in a command squad or one of the Mechanicum models on a base. So it gives you an idea of just simply swapping out a model, using a Rapier crew model and putting it amongst a bunch of Mechanicum models on a base. That works. Or servo arms can be taken from the Tech Priests in the Mechanicum Infantry box set to convert the Legion command models and models from core detachment of the Legions Astartes to represent the Forge Lord and other Tech Marines. So they're telling you to take the teeny tiny servo arms from the teeny tiny Tech Priests and put them on the teeny tiny Tech Marines, which is great. This is essentially saying, please lit bash, but without my branding, because why would they have my branding? Because they're Games Workshop. But still, that is solid. Thank you very much, Games Workshop, for encouraging such nonsense. You are a mensch. So, next one. They're the ones I'll be spending the most time with because they're the most interesting, but we'll go through the others to see what we've got. The Collegia Titanica support cohorts. This is for the, if you're taking a pure Titan list, you probably shouldn't. Then this is a way to get more Mechanicum in there. I generally speaking, I don't think this is probably worth it, because all the Mechanicum and Dark Mechanicum lists let you take a Titan or two. This is just basically the reverse of that. Take up to 3 Titans, and then you can surround them with robots. The thing that does make them fun is that all the Titans get Cybernetica controller, Cortex controller special rule, and with their massive bases, that's a big block of control for your robots. So yeah, if you want to surround the base of your Titan with robots, that will protect it from being charged and just move them all forward. It's a solid tactic. If you're taking Titans, you might, but to be honest, it probably makes more sense to get the Titans in with your Mechanicum than it does to get the Mechanicum in with your Titans, in my opinion. But again, if you want to play with the kind of pre-Skitarii type Titan guards, this is a great way to do it. Yeah, here we go. So it says paint the automata in the colours of your Titan Legion, and core choices such as tech thralls can mix and match between both Mechanicum colours and the Titan Legion, incorporating them together to show the dual allegiance and their role as Titan guards. Something I do want to do is actually use the tech thralls on the bases of my Titans and have them, you know, kind of climbing down the Titan and fixing it as they go. I'll have to do that on one of my Titans. Maybe the Iconoclast. I haven't built that yet. I feel like that needs some drama to it, because, you know, there's not enough drama in a massive robot, or mech technically. So, knight households. The knight detachments here, and there's 2. Knights are the only ones that get 2. I'm not sure why, but they're both quite fun. So, no, let's have a look. So this one is a retainer cohort, and basically this is the one that silly meme I made was of how you get knights, and any knights, because they're just knight detachments. They're not, you don't have to take specifically Castellans or like any specific knights. You can take Agastas knights, you can take anything, Cerastas knights, and you get to give them outflank. you need to take 2 Vanguard units, so you could just have a big chunk of knights, like a big block of knights, and then 2 Vanguard units, and if both of those Vanguard units are Voltarax, then they will outflank. If both of those Vanguard units are Vorax, then they can forward deploy. Essentially, these knights ride their Vanguard robots into battle, which is very, very funny and might make a knight army not suck. I still think knights overall are by far the most overcosted and least effective units. It's like they're not strong enough to be a threat like Titans are, but they're not numerous enough to be a threat like infantry is. They're very much a worst of both worlds, in my experience so far, but this, an outflanking knight is a terrifying idea. So again, it's not ideal. I don't necessarily think it'll be competitive, but might it win you a game or two? Yes. Is it very, very funny to imagine a knight standing on top of a Voltarax and balancing like that Gary Oak on a Pidgey meme? Yes. So do it whenever you can. The only downside is boring kit bashing suggestion. It just says paint them the colours of the houses, but no, who cares about kit bashing to show their allegiance when you can kit bash a Castus Knight skateboarding on a Vorax? Do that, please, and put it in the comments. And second night one is the Aegis cohorts. The important thing about this one is that it's basically the knight version of the Titan one. All the knights get Cybernetica Cortex. It's not ideal. It's just well, the Titans get one, so the knights get one. If you're taking knights and taking this Mechanicum support formation, you're not going to take this one. You're going to take the other one with the skateboarding on a Vorax. This is just if you want better controllers with bigger bases. Might be worth doing, but it's not. Do the other one. Penultimately, we have the Ironbound ruinhost. The Ironbound ruinhost, I think, is the one most of us were kind of calling out for, because it was notable that the Dark Mechanicum couldn't take any robots purely with the Dark Mechanicum. You could ally in Mechanicum Tagmata into a Dark Mechanicum army, but that limits you how many robots you can get, and in many respects the robots are the best part of the Mechanicum. In return, you get the big Spider Walkers, which are great to paint. I'm not sure they're the most efficient unit-wise, but they look like great models. So this lets you get the robots in. And the thing that's fun is it makes them all essentially demon engines. Every single robot in your Dark Mechanicum robot formation can only march and charge. They can't shoot at all unless they're in Cortex controller range. Ooh, have they changed it already? Oh, they have changed it. Oh, good. I was going to comment on this, but it looks like they've already altered it. Great, well done, Games Workshop. And it's what I wanted. Good. Sorry, that took me by surprise because I checked this earlier today and they hadn't changed it yet, but now they have. The Automata Malefica, all slots within this support formation must be from the Mechanicum Tagmata army lists, and they must have the Cybernetica Cortex or Cortex Controller special rule. So you can get all of those support slots could be Tech Priests if you wanted them to be, and they all could give, completely undo the limited Cybernetica Cortex if you wanted to. But to be honest, use the fact that these can charge. These let Domitars charge when they can't usually. These let Thanatars charge when they can't normally. Yeah, sure, they can't shoot. Who cares when you're a 7-foot robot smashing into something? you know, this is incredibly fluffy. It's the one I'm definitely going to use because I'm leaning Dark Mechanicum, because I'm a traitorous whore. And yeah, this will be the one I use. And I don't think I am going to put a lot of Cortex controllers in there. Yeah, the reason I was kind of taken aback was originally this formation was completely unusable because the rule said all detachments taken from the Mechanicum Tagmata army list must have the Cybernetica Cortex rule, but you need an HQ, and none of the HQs have that rule. So, you know, we were discussing, there's a poll on my page about what they thought the rule actually meant, and it turns out it's need to have the Cybernetica Cortex or Cortex controller. So thank you that they've already fixed that, you sexy beasts at the rules team. Be nice if they did the edits before they released them, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. This is a specialist game we're talking about. And the other thing that's fun is they all get the Dread Aura 3 special rule. So yeah, essentially all of your robots become demon engines, and that is very, very cool. So I will be using this. It does say models in the support formation can be painted with a bright orange or red glow emanating from between their armor plates to represent the malefic animus within. That's boring. Model demons into them. There's plenty of demons you can use. Tiny little nurglings can work. You can use the spites from the Sylvaneth kits. There's plenty of things you can use to make these actually demonic. First one I'm going to be doing is the plague drone. Yeah, the fetid plague drone, whatever it's called. That's very easily made with Voltarax, and that's what I'm going to do next. And yeah, the demon engines all the way. This gives me hope for the Dark Mechanicum to have things like iron scorpions or brass scorpions and things like that. So yeah, you could just paint them red or with an orange glow, or show me all your demons. Green stuff the hell out of the wires and have blood and pus dripping out depending on your flavour of chaos. Yeah, demon engines, nice. Although do note that if you're doing that, it would have to be set quite late in the heresy. Strictly fluff-wise, if you're early in the heresy, a glow is probably enough. But it's not enough. Make sexy demons. Yeah. Yeah, that's my favourite so far. Even better, now they've changed the rule and given it the best possible option of that rule. Cool. The Iron cohort is the one that goes with the Solar Auxilia. This is also the one I've read least about, so let's read it through together. It says, over the course of the Great Crusade, as casualties began to take a toll, many Solar Auxilia cohorts had reinforced their fighting strength from the Forge worlds they had fought alongside, supplementing their infantry with maniples of automata. Given the brutal efficiency of such war machines, the Divisio Militaris has done little to discourage such traditions, though these Iron cohorts would often find themselves assigned to the most grueling and deadly war zones. Basically, you know, the Solar Auxilia, no fear, they will do everything for the Emperor, but sometimes let the robots do it because they don't have souls yet. Yeah, so HQ detachments must be Solar Auxilia detachments, so you have to have Solar Auxilia HQs in there, but that includes, presumably doesn't include a tank commander, because their tank commanders aren't HQ slots like the Astartes are. So that's interesting that the Astartes can take tank controllers in theirs, but rules as written at the moment, the Auxilia can't. That's interesting. Master of Automatata. Optional support, Vanguard and Bastion detachments must be filled with Mechanicum Tagmata, obviously. Must have the Cybernetica Cortex, obviously. Core detachment slots may be filled by core detachment chosen with Solar Auxilia army lists, or with Thalax cohort detachments chosen from the Mechanicum army list. So yeah, this is basically the equivalent of the Titan one and the Astartes one, in that it just gives the Auxilia HQs the Cybernetica Cortex. Although interesting, it doesn't give us many fun kit bashing ideas as with the Tech Marine options. It says detachments taken from the Mechanicum Tagmata army list can be painted in the livery of the Solar Auxilia cohort to represent the distinguished service they have performed. Well done, distinguished robots. Now go and die for us in our place, you soulless husks of metal. And you wonder why I'm a traitor. At least we give them souls first before we send them in to die, you know? Anyway, that mechanical morality challenge aside, those are what we're working with now, and I think they're very, very fun. If it is just a kind of cynical ploy to get everyone to buy these models to put in their existing armies, I don't care. This is a fun way to put these models in your existing armies. That Dark Mechanicum everything charges thing is great. That is one of the best cohorts in the game as far as I'm concerned in terms of fluff and potential modelling and painting. So as a publication, especially as a free publication, this is great. I almost am glad that this wasn't included in the book, because if it was included in the book, then we wouldn't get this for free. And having it for free is such a huge thing. Yeah, you're missing out on the rules, but you can get the rules and data sheets. You could just get the cards if you wanted to know how the units work. You could just use Legion Builder. That's got everything open source there. It doesn't give you the special rules because then it treads into copyright territory, but 99% of the special rules are in the main book anyway. So if you have the main book and Legion Builder, or the main book and the cards, you know, you're sorted and you can use this. So essentially it's saying, if you're building a Mechanicum or Dark Mechanicum army, buy the book. If you're not, free rules to put the models, the sexy, sexy new models, in your existing armies. So I think it's a good thing. If it is a cynical ploy, good. It's a good cynical ploy. It's one that works. And I genuinely think, as many people do, the more available the rules are, the cheaper the rules are, the freer the rules are, the more people will play a game. People will still buy the books. You know, even if every single unit was unlocked on the Warhammer 40k app by subscribing to Warhammer Plus, which it should be, I'd still buy all the codexes for the armies I collect. I'd still get the limited edition Tyranids Codex and Genestealer Cults Codex immediately as soon as they come out, because there's art, because there's fluff, because there's painting guides, because there's good photos. And also I prefer reading from a book than using an app. So yeah, I think this isn't a, you know, money political video where I can say that I think they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit by not making the rules easier to access. But this is a good, these rules are easy to access, and they're easy to access, and they're good, and they're helpful. So thank you for being a stop clock, being right twice a day, and this is one of them, even if it was misprinted to begin with. So yeah, excellent. Very little in terms of advice for this, in terms of how it could be made better. The Auxilia and Titan ones are a little bit dull, but that's made up by the fact the Night one is so funny, and the Mechanicum and Dark Mechanicum ones are so fluffy. And the Astartes one tells you kit bash tiny tech marines, which, to be honest, the entire document could just be one sentence saying, please kit bash tiny tech marines, and I'd give it a 5 out of 5 stars. So well done, whoever the team was that wrote this. Excellent job. I look forward to building all of these in very silly, silly ways. And I hope you all look forward to building them in very, very silly ways as well. Yeah, it seems like every time I record a video, something else comes out and I have to record another one. So there's 3 other videos in my backlog that haven't yet been edited, because I've kind of put this one first and foremost because it's the newest and I still didn't get this out as quickly as I wanted to. But alas, day job and my son turning 5. He had a lovely 5th birthday, by the way. Thank you to everyone who wished him happy birthday on the post about his cake. I'll put a picture of what his cake eventually looked like there. He enjoyed it very much and enjoyed blowing out the candles about 8 different times. Bless his little cotton socks. And speaking of cotton socks, peace and love to you all. Yeah, that'll do as a transition. Thank you, as always, to my Patrons. Thank you to all of you for liking and subscribing. Everyone who sat through this was going to be a quick video, and now it's 41 minutes, 42 minutes now, and it's 12 past 11. So that was a fun, quick video. I need to go to sleep. I have work in the morning, as so do many of you. Go to sleep, or scroll through TikTok and watch videos of hoof doctors and chocolatiers and other things that I'm sure we share on our algorithm. So, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by my own segue. Peace and love. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, morning, noon, whatever time it is where you are. But above all, keep on lip bashing.